Bulldogs coach Dean Pay has had the worst weekend since Byrne from Weekend at Byrne's, when his footy side was beaten in a controversial way, and then he's been fined $25,000 by the NRL. Now, Will, is this finding of the coaches going a bit far?
Yeah, I think it's a bit ridiculous. I know, Dean Pay is a rookie coach in the game. His team just was getting absolutely hammered. They didn't get a penalty for 40 minutes, which in this day and age, in this whole year, I think they averaged 15 or 16 a game. But to not get one penalty in that first half or the second half is just ridiculous. Like that knock on from Osaka, that could have been a game changer. It's all about momentum swing. So you can see the anger in his eyes. I mean, he holds his shit pretty good up in the box, but like, just you can see the anger, and then you see Josh Morris getting held back, and just these little things that were changing the game. And then that last little bit that really topped him off, was the Moses thing, and then it cost him the game. I don't understand. Do you think these coaches are going to finish games after they just got beat? They're having the worst start to the season they've had for years. I think they're just going to come into the aftermatch function all happy, ask me all the questions that you want. We're going to give you all the happy-go-lucky answers. He's in there. He's going to lose his shit. And I mean, like he did at the end of the day, and it was like I think it was warranted. Like, to be honest,
if you look at the way things are structured now, so these coaches and their careers and their livelihoods depend on results.
Yep.
So they're wheeled out after a game where there's been a controversial decision like that. They're in an emotional state.
Yep.
They're fired up. They come in, they're asked questions, and they react. Now, it's a human reaction. The reason Dean Pay was fined more was because he said, in that interview, he said that it looked as if we were not supposed to win that game, which the NRL is saying through the integrity of the referees into question. I personally think the coaches are the only people that have a right in a press conference to say what they think.
As I said before, the coaches are going to come in there. They're highly emotional. They're not 9 from 9. They've had a terrible start to the year, and then you ask them all these sort of questions. They're going to start giving you answers, and they're going to start giving you some sort of answers that you're not going to like. So start dealing with it. Why don't they start getting some refs in after the game? Let's start questioning some of the refs. Get them in one-on-one. Grill them one-on-one from all the journos. They're the most talked about thing that's happening in our game. We're talking about refs every single fucking week. Everybody is sick of it. All we talk about is like not what a quality game that was, guys. Did you see the game Did you see that game on the weekend? That should be the talk about. Did you see Melbourne? Did you see the St George Dragons? No. What we're talking about refs. I mean, they've got nearly one of the hardest jobs in the games, but do your job properly. The coaches are trying to do their job properly. The players are trying to do their job properly. Everybody else is putting their 2 cents in to try and make the game as the best it can be. But all we keep talking about is how much these refs stuff up on the weekend. And I'm sick of hearing it. I mean, like, I want to talk the game up. I want to talk everything else up. But every time I'm sick of seeing refs on the front page. It should be Greg Inglis. It should be JT. It should be Cameron Smith. It should be the young up-and-coming stars that are killing it every single weekend. But no, we're talking about Dean Pay getting 25 grand fine just for putting the game, the integrity sort of fining him. It's like, come on, man, we're sick of it.
I reckon,
as a fan, we're just sick of it.
I think talking the game up, and that's the big thing that the NRL are trying to do this year. But for me, rugby league is a passionate game. Now, watching Ricky Stewart pacing around the sideline, living and breathing every single tackle, every pass.
Yeah.
Watching Craig Bellamy in a box, going berserk, throwing things around. Watching your mate Wayne Bennett do this.
Yeah.
Maybe not Wayne Bennett, but
they
the rest of them.
They all show their emotions
passion,
different.
And so to try and cut that out now, I don't understand it.
I just think the coach is such a big, important part of our game. Do we want to see him sit like in a little room, where they sit at halftime? Don't show them at all. It's something that's part of our game. We want to see the Wayne Bennetts. We want to see their emotions. I love seeing Bellamy throw shit everywhere. I love Ricky Stewart pacing up and down the sidelines, Trent Barrett showing emotion. That's what the game's all about. It's all about these decisions and everything like that. And I feel sorry for these coaches. They're going to end up losing their minds because the game has come to a tipping point where it's just like, why is there so many penalties and why is there so many mistakes? These refs are supposed to be the best that we've got. And they're still stuffing the game up every single week. The players have been trying, at the start of the year, I was all about, Let's get that 10-metre rule right. Let's get the play the ball infractions right. They've done their best to do that. Why is there still these mistakes going on? The players have tried their best to try and fix all their little indiscretions up in the ruck, and we're still making mistakes as refs, like that are costing teams games. And that's why you got guys like Dean Pay absolutely losing it.
And you say, you should get the refs up to come after the game and explain. Now, referees have a hard job, there's no question, and there's no game without referees, and the only reason they're referees is because no one turned up to their 21st in the first place, so we don't need to put more pressure on them. But coaches, people want to see coaches, and it's going to get to a point if they keep getting fined where they're just not comfortable coming to these.
They're all going to be like Wayne Bennett. Wayne Bennett, is one of the most. He sort of has created that whole persona about himself when he goes into the press conferences, and he sort of has a bit of a joke with, just say myself when I was doing press conferences with him. He knows what he's doing to the media because he gives them absolutely nothing. But these other guys are, Wayne Bennett's a different sort of kettle of fish. Craig Bellamy's going that's why he rarely goes. He does it, but he just has to sit back and do nothing.
One word answers.
One word answers because he's going to lose his shit.
And if they want the game to be talked up,
if they want the game to be talked up, coaches are the ones got to talk the game up. Players are going to be the ones that just sort of listen to the coach and just give you the boring answers. And that's what you're going to get, a boring bunch of people running the game.
Yeah.
All because they're so filthy on what's happened in the game. We're trying to give the fans and the sponsors the best product that we possibly can. And it just keeps getting belted down and belted down and belted down every single Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday because we keep talking about refs when we should be just talking the game up and telling everybody how great our product is and how great the game is, but we don't. All we keep doing, all our whole talk is about refs.
Is this censorship? I mean, do you think that what's happening now is that the coaches are being told essentially that they can only ever say positive things?
I want to see from now on. I want to see Dean Pay the rest of his comments this year about after games, if they get beat or if they don't get beat. I want to see what sort of answer he's going to give, because I just don't think after getting a 25 grand fine, he can't go out there and say anything like that again. He's just going to have to toe the line, and you're going to get the boring answer. Even if he wins by 50 or loses by 50, he's just going to have that happy median, and then that's all you're going to get.
Yeah, and what it does is it encourages the characters in the game to keep their mouth shut.
Everything's watered down at the moment because people are scared to even come out of their shell and be themselves, because the game isn't letting these characters grow.
Yeah. Because
coaches are putting players down. They don't want to get these players out. Don't let them blossom as characters. They just go, all right, just play the game, play every week, and then that's it. So that's why you're getting all these players. They'll just do their normal little, Monday, Tuesday media thing. Then you won't see them for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
And they'll just say whatever that media manager's saying, end it.
There was an interesting interview over the weekend where Paul Gallen and Peter Fitzsimons were on the same panel and ended up having a bit of a discussion about things that Peter Fitzsimons had written about Paul Gallen in the past. Now, Paul Gallen was calling Peter Fitzsimons to task for things that he said, saying that it was a personal attack on him. Do you think that's fair, Will?
I see where Gal's coming from, and I see where Fitz is coming from. If you can't find that sort of happy line, not a happy line, but where Fitz is coming from, it's Fitz's job to say what he's thinking, and it does come across personal. I mean, I've been absolutely smashed my whole career, and Gallen's been on the end of some nasty comments as well. But if you can't play the game, like the media sort of game, and not take it so personal, then you'll survive in this world. But if you are going to take things personal, really personal, you're going to have vendettas your whole career. You'll be pissed off. Gal even said when he fronted him he couldn't wait to front him because he was so pissed off. And Gal's a stand-up dude. And most of us are. League players are them sort of people, because a lot of these print writers back in the day, they'd write all these nasty comments, then you wouldn't see the dudes. Now you see all these sort of guys, you see Fitzy around. I don't mind Fitzy, he's a great bloke. Gal's a great bloke. And it's great that they actually had that confrontation on live TV, and they got it out. Fitzy goes, look, I didn't mean to be personal, and Gal's like, look, it was personal.
Well, interestingly, Gallen couldn't actually remember specifically what.
Yeah, well, I can't remember half the shit, but I'm like, I know it was personal. It felt personal at the time, so it must have been personal. So the amount of bullshit that's been written about players, myself, Gal, everyone who sort of played through that whole 2000 era, was that whole print media. So whatever the print was, whatever they were saying, this mainstream print media, whether it be the Sun Herald, whether it be the Telegraph, everybody thought it was the gospel because there was no social media, there was no Twitter, there was no Instagram where you can stand up for yourself. So these pricks were just writing whatever they thought about you. They didn't know you from a bar of soap, but they could paint this picture that you were the biggest prick in the world. So
not up with you.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing. But now they can't do that because print media is dying. I'll give you another 10 years. It's all going to be the media exactly what we're doing now. This is the future, not the print media, not buying all the paper every single morning for $1.20. I don't know how much it is now, but it's a fucking rip-off. And this is how the world's going. You know what I mean? It's all the mainstream's done. So all these blokes that were the print media, they've all seen a segue into the media sort of, they're all on TV or they're trying to do the reporting and all this sort of bullshit because they know that's sort of dying. You got all the worst sort of writers doing all this other sort of crap, writing for the Telegraph and all this stuff because no one believes half the shit you're saying. That's why they come out with such big sensationalized stories. So everyone just grabs this whole headline. It's all about headlines. You read all the fine print. It could be the nicest story in the world, but that's how print media used to work. It doesn't work that way
as
anymore.
An ex-player, I mean, when you were playing, if someone wrote in the paper, just say you've had a shocking game, and you've dropped 5 balls and you've missed tackles and you've lost the game, if a journalist points out that you've had a bad game, that's not a personal attack. Yeah. It's when I guess it moves into other things and other areas that players are getting upset about it.
Well, I think Gal probably would have been on the end of a couple of Fitz's comments where Gal was, I think, through the Asada thing and how he handled that and how Gal was playing probably in his late 20s. He was a bit of a grub of a player. You can ask Gal. He was such a totally different player. That's why he ended up being captain in New South Wales. He ended up blossoming into a great leader. Yeah. But before that, Gal's a grub. I remember playing against him. He was the grubbiest prick in the world. But as a leader, as he is now, and as a man, as a husband, and as a player, he's a totally different human. And I think Gal can see it from both sides now, but back then, you can't see it from both sides. You just go, what is this dude writing? Or what is she writing? Or why am I copying all this abuse? So, unless you can play the game and you don't take things so personal, you'll get out of it. But if you take things personal, you'll end up stuck in the middle and just go, why does everybody hate me when... You know what? Fitzy's doing his own job, and I could name 100 different journos, which I couldn't give a shit about. But they're only doing their job. They're not really. But if sometimes I felt that I was personally attacked, I'll ring them up straight away. So why'd you write that?
Yeah.
And then they'd have they'd never ever say that they personally attacked you because that's just the way they are.
Well, the headline from what you've just said, then, if I'm sitting there, is Mason calls Gallen a grubby prick. And the rest of it's, you know what I mean? So it's easy to take something, and they say out of context, and a lot of people use that as an excuse.
And people if you don't know how the media works, they've already got the headline. All you got to do is fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
So they've already written the headline before they've even given you half. All you have to give them half a little quote. They've already given you the whole back page. So you just got to play the game. And I think this day and age, you can't really bag players all that much because people have got too much power with social media, and that's why print media is dying and all that. And all the other media's sort of outlets aren't really going that well.
This week sees the return of Souths enforcer Sam Burgess from another holiday, and the game on the weekend between the Roosters and Manly displayed an amazing aggressive performance by the young Roosters player Victor Radley, who took on Martin Tapau in what has been deemed an illegal hit and a try saver on Dylan Walker. Now, Will, I really hope that they don't take aggression out of this game.
Yeah, Victor Radley, I've been watching him for a couple of weeks and he's been off the bench. He's just been that sort of that spark that the Roosters need where he just comes off, he makes a couple of really big hits, but he's been sort of overshadowed by the Roosters' losses. And but this game here, he won him the game pretty much with a couple of big plays. Martin Tapau is a big animal. He gave away 20, 30 kilos and he ran straight at Radley. Radley just pumped him. And I love seeing it because, you know what? Tapau just got up, went, great hit, bring it on again. You know what I mean? Didn't hurt him at all, didn't knock him out, didn't split him, didn't do anything. But he's probably going to get a week on the sideline, which is a shame. He's won him the game and he put this massive tackle on Walker. He pretty much won him the game, you know what I mean? And where's the reward for that?
Yeah, week on the sideline.
Where's the reward? You get a week on the sideline. It's such a headache for fans, for players. It's how are you supposed to tackle Martin Tapau when you weigh 85 kilos yourself. And he's put one of the best shots on I've seen. And I applaud Martin Tapau. I applaud Victor Radley. Little bloke on a big bloke, bang, hit him with a perler of a shot. You didn't see any carry on from Tapau. Took it like a man, got up, said, all right, got me, kid, good hit. You know what I mean? And then I'll get you next time. And, you know, he's going to sit on the sideline for 1 week. I mean, he's probably I think he's got a good record. If he fights it, hopefully he can get off.
Well, it's only a young career.
He's only got a young career, but I think he's going to have a couple more in them. I think he's going to have a couple more in his career. But, you know, just don't, you know, with the Sam Burgess thing, you know, I don't think Sammy has the best record, to be honest. You know what I mean? Otherwise, he would not even have faced that Josh Morris hit. I think he would have been fine with it. But I just don't see, our game is such a beautiful product, and people want to see that. Little man on big man on big man, just them big collisions where people aren't getting knocked out cold. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't see that all weekend. You just seen some really good collisions. You didn't see a bloke get a broken jaw or any hit in the throat. You just seen some really good contact. And, you know, for them to be sitting on the sideline for that 1 week just off a great hit, it's a shame. It is a shame.
I think with Victor Radley, I mean, the thing with the Roosters as well is they're hammered everywhere for having no local juniors. And Victor Radley, he played for my old club, the Cloverleaf Crocodiles, and he came through their systems. And every week down at the Roosters, the Bronny board riders go down, and they've got a huge support group for him in his. And I think he's got a huge career ahead of him. I really hope he doesn't lose his aggression. No,
I don't think half these young kids that are coming through now, they are aggressive people. People who play rugby league are aggressive people naturally, especially if you play in the forwards. And you need to be at that size. You know, he's not 6'5", he's not 120 kilos, he's not the quickest bloke, but he's aggressive as hell. And he showed that on the weekend. And we can't let kids like that lose their anger, you know, because he's going to get run over. You know, if he can't hit Tapau like he did on the weekend, Tapau sends him 10 metres.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, it's a fine-edged sword. It's just like, all right, where do we get this at? It's just like, oh, I don't want him to lose his anger. I don't want Sam Burgess to lose his anger. I don't want half the NRL to lose their anger, because it's such a great game, and what we're doing at the moment, we're nearly nailing it. You know what I mean? We can get the refs right, and we can get the players with this perfect technique, and which is hard to nail. We'll have one of the best products out there.
Well, Burgess is back this week. He's been named at lock. Do you think he's going to tone it down?
I don't think Sammy will tone it down. I actually don't. I don't think he's got it in him. I actually don't. I just don't. Maybe, as I said like 3 minutes ago, he probably won't put inside pressure and try and knock the halfback out. You know, he'll probably just a little bit of a brain explosion like he had last week. Mate, but if you run at him, don't think he's going to tone it down. He's going to put you straight on your back. So, and I think players know Sammy, how he plays. He's only one speed, and that's all I want to see from Sammy. He's hard, aggressive running, and he's tackling defence, and hopefully get the Roosters on hopefully get the Souths on a bit of a roll.
Well, Victor Radley, you're a legend. We love you.
Yeah, go on your feet, mate. You brought it back.